Today, we are going to be delving into the different types of insect socialites. Piece by piece, we are going to discuss 4 different classifications of insect sociality, from the family-oriented eusocial insects to the lonesome solitary insects. After this video, you will understand insect structures and why they behave and react in certain ways, so make sure you pay close attention.
You may already know that some bees and ants live in big groups and communicate, but did you know that honeybees and most ant species are what we call eusocial? Eusocial means that a species of insects cares for young together, has overlapping generations, and practices reproduction division of labor. This is the most social classification of insects. For these critters, teamwork makes the dream work. Let's take a closer look at how insects set up caste systems.
It's well known that honeybees have their queen bee, but have you ever asked the question why? The queen is the only female that reproduces. The other females are called worker bees. The workers maintain and defend the hive, collect nectar and pollen, and care for larvae. Drone bees are the males. Their only purpose is reproduction with the queen. As you can see, these bees have their stuff together.
So what about the species where everyone can reproduce? We can't forget about the quasi-social insects, the ones that care for their young together and share a nest, but can all independently reproduce. I present to you the orchard bee. When orchard bees share the same nest, they will all work together to care for their young. There is no system or strict division of labor for these beautifully colored insects. Not all orchard bees live in a communal nest. However, some of them will decide to make their own personal nest. This sense of independence is only possible because the bees are able to reproduce and survive on their own. All the power to you, orchard bees.
Have you ever wondered if a bug could be shy? Well, I haven't, but there are certainly insect species that are less social than others. Subsocial insects are just that. Although not as social as quasi-social, some of these bugs do still have shared nests and care for their young to some extent, just simply on a smaller scale. They won't be setting up any complex caste systems like our eusocial honeybees, or sharing the joys of parenthood together like our orchid bees. A great example of a subsocial insect is the cockroach. You won't catch a cockroach co-parenting. For these creepy crawlies, it does not take a village to raise a kid. A mother may take care of her young until they hatch, but after that, the bundles of joy are on their own. Although subsocial insects are super self-sufficient, there is one more group that takes the cake for independence.
Now that we've talked all about social insects, let's give some love to our lonelier, sort of lonesome insect friend. These bugs are completely independent compared to other insects. They do not possess any of the 5 social aspects: division of labor, communication, cooperative brood care, defense, and overlapping generations. This means that these bugs are completely independent and don't typically interact with others of their species except for reproductive purposes. These little introverts get straight to the point. House crickets are a well-known example of solitary insects. Don't let the tank full of crickets at your local pet store fool you. Crickets are not found in large groups like that in the wild.
Now that you're an expert on all the kinds of sociality insects fall under, you may be asking yourself, how does this fit into the bigger picture? Why is this so important? Let's list some main points and takeaways. As you have previously seen, each kind of sociality is highly specialized and morphed to fit the needs of each species and untimely benefit their fitness and lives. Their sociality is a key part in succeeding in both natural or in a constantly changing, more populated ecosystem, such as in a busy city. It is also important to realize that just because an insect is more social, that doesn't necessarily mean it has a greater overall fitness, as social interactions, such as living in such close proximity to one another, could be the perfect conditions to spread pathogens or diseases to one another. Since you have learned about an insect's way of life, you can learn how our interactions with a variety of insects could be beneficial and how to go about it. For example, you now know that more social insects will work their best in big groups to fight off if you are ever a predator to them, so it is best to stay away. Take into account the structures we discussed today and reflect on your own. Maybe we'll see that we're not so different from other forms of life after all.